So we're going to talk about Peter Bruegel the Elder. Peter Bruegel was commonly known as Peter Bruegel the Elder. Sometimes you'll see him represented just as Peter Bruegel. He was the most famous member of a large family of artists from the southern Netherlandish area. And that family of artists spanned 4 generations from the 16th to 17th centuries. He was a longtime resident of Antwerp and was a master in the Painters Guild of St. Luke between 1551 and 1552. Antwerp was really the center of publishing in the Netherlands. Antwerp was a vibrant commercial capital, and Bruegel brought a humanizing spirit to the traditional subjects that we saw in Netherlandish art. He also finds new ways to represent subject matter. He was a very inventive painter and a draftsman. And that had to do with the fact that he was continuing the family trade. He really was a printmaker to begin with and then moved into painting. Bruegel's impact was widespread. We know that he knew Hieronymus Bosch. A number of his paintings focus on the lives of the Flemish commoners. Because of that, most art historians thought that he was a peasant at birth. That was misguided. He was not a peasant at all. Let's take a look and talk about his art. Bruegel had a novel and ingenious way in translating moralizing subjects into vernacular language. Where he's most successful at doing that is in his early paintings, such as this one, the Netherlandish Proverbs. In this painting, he depicts over 100 proverbs in familiar setting of a Flemish village. It becomes one of the artist's most popular images, and we know that at least 16 copies of this painting are known. It's not one that I expect you to know really well, because there's not as much research done on it. We'll talk about the calendar pages momentarily, but this is really where he gets his inspiration for the calendar pages. The calendar pages are a set of works of art that he designs for a rich businessman, and they're important because they document the social discord within the community and within the Protestant Reformation itself. So let's talk about Bruegel's calendar pages. There's really an ongoing debate over the interpretation of Bruegel's peasant images of the calendar pages. It underscores the complexity of the artistic conception that Bruegel has. Bruegel is unique in that he's all of a sudden started representing landscape and people within the landscape. But he's able to separate the landscape so that it's a believable background for the work that the people are doing. The landscape scenes are rooted in this legacy of these calendar pages. The calendar pages were commissioned by Nicholas, let me see if I can pronounce this right, Jongelink. Sorry, my Netherlandish is not so good. So Nicholas owned no less than 16 of Bruegel's works, and Bruegel creates a series of calendar pages representing the different seasons. We only have 5 of them today that survive. One is called The Gloomy Day, Return of the Herd, hunters in the snow, and the harvesters. So those are the 5 that still survive. And they have this legacy of talking about the social classes that are going on in the Protestant Reformation. So you've got these paintings that represent the different social classes and how they sort of sit in the landscape of the Protestant Reformation. They are a reflection of what the social parameters of the Protestant Reformation are and what life is like in early Northern European Renaissance world before the Protestant Reformation happens, and then during the Protestant Reformation. Okay, Peter Bruegel the Elder is one of the more important painters that we'll study for Northern Renaissance in Europe. One of the reasons is because he paints a reflection of society's structure. This particular painting that we see is a hunting scene. You can see that the men are going out hunting. They're slogging through the snow. It's hard work. The dogs are exhausted from racing through the woods to hunt with the men. You can see that the servants are working with the fire in the house behind the hunters. And you can see then the rich or the wealthy people enjoying the snow and playing in the landscape, in the ice below. Let's look at another painting or illustration from Peter Bruegel. So this illustration is once again an illustration about the social classes of society in the Netherlands. I think what you're seeing here are calendar illustrations. Often we're looking at winter scenes or summer scenes. This particular scene is a harvest scene, and it is called The Harvesters. It's on a wood, it's oil on a wood panel, and it actually belongs to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You can see that the workers are stacking hay, or they're bundling the hay for the harvest. And the harvest or the landscape in this area of the world is much like our Great Plains states that grow a large wheat crop, like in Kansas or in Nebraska or Iowa. And so you can see that the wheat is very tall. It grows all the way to their head, and it kind of takes over the landscape in terms of color. It's very golden, and you can just picture in your head, if you were standing there looking from a bird's eye view, that the entire landscape would be full of gold patches from the wheat needing to be harvested. You can see the workers, they're working very hard. The worker in the white shirt in the center there that's stepping out of the harvest looks exhausted. He's really tired. The other workers are hand cutting the hay. You can see those threshing blades that are being used to pull down the hay stalks. And some of the workers are taking a break. You can see the guy taking a siesta under the tree, relaxing. But the thing that separates the social classes is that they're a group of wealthier people with hats on and lovely dresses that aren't wearing work clothes, that are sitting under the shade of the tree, and they're resting. They're relaxing, they're eating their lunch, there's a plentiful basket of lunch, whereas the people that are working very hard, and they're very tired. And so This is really important painting because it depicts what the social class system is like in Northern Europe at this time.